to Integrated EDU,
where innovation meets education.
Here we explore fresh strategies,
creative learning pathways,
and powerful tools to boost student engagement and growth.
Let's elevate education,
one idea at a time. Hey educators, welcome back to another episode on Integrated EDU. I'm Megan.
And I'm Kara.
Hey, last episode, we were talking all about connection. In fact, it's been a hot topic at Integrated. We're talking about how can you move from a compliance mindset to a connected mindset as it relates to teaching your content. Because when you feel more connected to what you're teaching, it comes across to your students. You get more engaged in it, they feel excited, and we're excited. Just works out. But now we're bringing it a little step further, and we're talking more about how we can take that connection piece in our content and move it to our students.
Absolutely. So what we're going to be talking with you today is connection through pathways. If you've heard us before, you know we're extremely passionate about this topic of using pathways to connect your students to whatever it is that you are trying to get them to learn. We can go on and on about this topic, but hopefully today we'll provide you with a little bit of value that you can go and use right away.
So listen, when we're talking about pathways of learning, we're talking multimodal ways to help your students access the content that you're trying to teach them.
Yep.
So let's break it down just for a minute. For pathways.
Break it down now.
Break it down. For pathways, we need to think about it's increasing engagement for our students. It's differentiating instruction, and it's connecting our students to the content, which is exactly why we're doing this episode with you. We want to make sure that not only are students engaged, right? We're making it easy for everyone to access this information, but also we want our students to understand what they're learning. Absolutely. So that's what pathways is when we're talking about relation to pathways.
So as we're talking pathways, we should probably tell them a little bit about what are the learning pathways.
Well, the best one of all 7 is, of course, the visual arts pathway.
Oh, come on now. Come on now. She will tell you every single time that she loves the visual arts. There has been multiple times where we have had to leave notes and treats for our custodians because of the mess that might be made while making said visual arts pieces.
You know, I feel there was a dramatic pause there for a reason. They enjoy they love it. The children love all of the things. So visual arts is one of them. We also have technology, movement, auditory, hands-on, storytelling, and music.
If you can't tell, or if you don't know, music is a pathway that I love. It's near and dear to my heart. And if anyone ever tells you that life is not a musical, just say, I disagree.
Because she's always breaking out into song, which is great for us because when we get to planning and we have different pathways, that allows us to bring those in for our students. Because you're thinking, we just said that pathways of learning, part of that is differentiating instruction for all students. You know, Kara will say this, and she loves this, that tier 1 is the best instruction, right? We have to live there.
Yeah, I heard this quote long ago, and it has stuck with me ever since. It said, tier 1 instruction, strong tier 1 instruction is the best intervention. It is more powerful than any tier 2, tier 3 intervention for our students. Basically, set the foundation strong, right? Set the foundation strong for all of our kids to have a chance to access the information and the content we give them. And so when we started developing and speaking on these topics, that is where this passion and this energy came from, because our goal is to provide strong tier 1 instruction for all of our kids. And in order to meet all of our kids, which can be, you know, anywhere from 15, 20, 30 kids in our class, that differentiation piece can feel daunting when you're thinking strong tier 1. And one way to bridge that gap or to make that a little bit more accessible is through these learning pathways.
So we're going to give you some ideas about how to put in these pathways. And as we're thinking about these, this is not an extra thing to put on your plates.
No.
You know, we're riding in the trenches with you as educators, and we don't have time or energy or whatever on our plates to put in something extra. And you'll hear us say this again and again. If you're doing something, it needs to be purposeful. Absolutely. If you're doing something that's not purposeful, Why are you doing it? We don't have time for that.
Mm-hmm.
So, when we talk about these ideas, you're replacing the idea of a worksheet, of a fill in the blank, of an extra thing with these pathway ideas in order for your students to connect to that information.
Yes, absolutely.
So, let's think about this. Think about a topic that you're teaching this week. And if you take the pathway of music, what could you do differently in order for your students to understand? And we love to say that you can create some type of tune to go along with it, a song, a rap, whatever your kids are into, that a common tune that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And put that content with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to be singing it in the hallways, at their locker, down at lunch, and that content is now stuck with them.
Mm-hmm. We called it Taylor's version, thinking we have a huge Swiftie population in our classrooms. And so it was just a fun way to help them connect. But the goal behind that was using that pathway of music in order to help them remember that content. Music is such a powerful tool. You think of how many times you sit in your car, you're singing a song, and then it is stuck in your head for the rest of the day. Well, that's kind of the idea behind Taylor's version, is taking a familiar tune, getting it stuck in their head, but getting it stuck in their head using the words surrounding the content you want them to remember or to learn.
So think about this. If you're teaching the lower grades, K1, 2, you're probably going to want to create the song for them and teach the song.
Mm-hmm.
If you're kind of like that intermediate area, you can kind of give them guidelines, maybe think of some sentence stems, but still give them around the tune that you want to have.
Mm-hmm.
But now let's move into middle school and high school.
Mm-hmm.
Those kids can have ownership of the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously you need to approve the song that they want to use, but you're just using the beat. So you're thinking, all right, now you need to take this concept, these words, this vocabulary,
Mm-hmm.
and create a song around that or a rap and do it with a group of people, create it together. And you know what? At first, those high school students, those middle school kids, they're going to not want to do it. They're going to think it's not cool. But just keep rolling with it. If you show excitement, you create a song, you show them their piece, they're going to want to do it with you.
Mm-hmm.
You could elevate this and do some movement, get them. We were just talking about what could we do with pool noodles? I don't know why, but get some pool, make them drum out the beat, tap out something. So there's different ways that you can make that happen.
You could even create a little mini concert in your classroom as well. Get one of those. We have those Bluetooth microphones. You can give her like $10 or whatever, or a fake one, whatever you might do. But you can create this and elevate it into any way you would like. However, you think of the connection you are building to that content using the pathway of music. They have just gained so much more understanding and so much more ownership of this learning than they would have if just filling out a multiple choice worksheet or a fill in the blank or something along those lines. You have created a connection for them that was purposeful and authentic.
And give them time to connect.
Yes.
This isn't a quick go through, oh, they're not getting it, let's be done. They're going to connect with it in their own way, in a different timing, if you will. And so giving them the space to do that is really powerful. And us as teachers, we need to step back and let them go through the motions of it, let them create. I love the visual arts piece, and every single time I have to walk away from some of my students because I will want to take control and be like, oh, if you did it this way and work out better. But when you leave it and you walk away and you let them connect to what they're learning and really experience that, what they come out with and the ownership that they have of their learning and whatever piece that they have made of created is by far way better than if I intervened.
Absolutely. And we're not saying, give them forever when we're saying give them space and time to connect. It is okay to have a time limit or a time frame around it. However, what we're saying is don't expect every kid to connect the same way to every single pathway. And don't expect them to, create the same, because all of us are individuals. What Meg may create with the music pathway might be extremely different than what I may create, even though we both have music background. So it's just allowing, timed, or maybe I shouldn't say time, but allowing kids that opportunity to connect. But of course, if it is assignment, if you're trying to check for understanding, it's okay to be like, hey, it's due on, Wednesday, whatever. But You can do the same thing with a worksheet. However, is that going to be as purposeful or authentic? No, no, it's not.
No. All right, so let's think about visual arts. Why not bring that in?
Of course.
My favorite way to integrate the pathway of visual arts is what we have is it's a mix up of materials.
Material
That
mix up.
oh man, you know when you go into the dollar store and there's that one aisle of just random stuff in bags that you can purchase for $1. Maybe it's $1.50 now. Either way, it's like moss and rocks and pom-poms and I don't even know anything that they can put in a bag and sell for $1. They have it in that aisle. That's the back of our classrooms.
Hmm.
It looks like the dollar
It's
store
true.
aisle. And I love it. And here's what you do with this is you put out all this stuff. You know, you can ask for parents to bring in things also. And you give them time to create.
Hmm.
But of course, there's parameters around it. A specific example that we did was our students were learning about animal adaptations
Hmm.
and what animal adaptations do you need in order to survive in a certain environment. And they had to build and create each of these animal adaptations. You know, like elephant ears, giraffe neck, scorpion tail. They had to use these dollar store materials, mix them all up, and create that piece.
Hmm.
Now, what this does is, yes, they're having fun, it's hands-on, it's messy, walk away, but they have ownership of what that looks like. You
Hmm.
know, if you think of like a scorpion's tail, what things do you need to create in order for that to work to really show what adaptation it is that you're putting on your person or you're showing? And then they can explain that to their peers, to us,
Hmm.
which then of course leads to ownership of their knowledge. You've connected them to the content through a pathway of visual arts. But then as a teacher, now you've done a little bit of an assessment
Hmm.
that do my students actually know about these animal adaptation traits? Um, and do they have ownership of that? And when they're creating it and they're making that happen, and like, well, I had to use this material to show this piece of it, it's a whole new level.
Yeah, it is. And it gives students a chance to also um, be a little bit creative. A lot of times I feel like I like the visual arts pieces a lot because nowadays I feel like kids don't get the opportunities to be as hands-on and messy and
Mm.
creative as before. And yes, you can be creative using technology. We have a whole spiel on that. I'll try not to get on that soapbox. However, it is good for them to actually have that tactile piece, I
Yeah,
guess,
those
to
fine motor
that
skills.
visual arts creation. So you can create visual arts pieces using technology as well. There's lots of things you can do with that, but we also like getting on the hands-on, the tactile pieces to that visual arts.
Can I stop for a minute? No kids right now are putting you, okay. Remember when you put glue all over your hand, the Elmer's glue, and then you let it
Yeah.
dry and you peel it off? Kids aren't doing that anymore.
Yeah.
We haven't peeled glue in a long time. All right, so thinking about some of those are the pathways, and what we really want you to walk away with is that
Mm-hmm.
this is a connection for your students to the content.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't something, this major production where you have to spend a lot of money, take a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
It is replacing some of those paper, pencil, fill in the blank, computer work type things
Mm-hmm.
and giving them another way to access that
Yeah.
curriculum. Yeah.
It's really truly a way to elevate your instruction or how your students are experiencing that
Mm.
instruction or experiencing that content. A lot of kids, they don't learn from a traditional sit and get. And so we have to now move past that and, you know, instead of saying, "Oh, kids now these days,"
Mm.
is move
Mm.
away from that phrase and think, well, how could we elevate our instruction? How could we do this differently? And pathways are a way to help connect students to that learning without going crazy with, budget, time, making it something extra. It
Mhm.
is something that you can easily integrate into your instruction every day, and it allows those students to connect and to learn and ultimately show growth.
And we're kind of having fun doing it.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And what's crazy is that I know educators out there here for a minute. They're like, I was doing that. I did that. I do. Yes.
Hmm.
Yes, you are. You are doing pathways in your classroom. You are taking it and taking a different spin. And we're just calling it pathways of learning. But if you think these educators that are kind of thinking outside of the scripted curriculum and making it their own, it's okay to do that. And also, one more piece of this is your students that struggle to learn in your classrooms, they're that student that are always creating kind of a little bit of ruckus, if you will, testing the boundaries.
Hmm.
They are the ones that really gravitate towards this also.
Hmm.
And it's really apparent when those students are really engaged in what you're learning and what they're doing, and the behaviors kind of just fix themselves,
Hmm.
if you will. And then you have your students that are incredibly high. They're your students that are always getting it, that you're like, how can I elevate this more, give them more information? They're taking it at their level and they're taking it further. And
Hmm.
so when we talk about natural differentiation, that's what we mean is we're
Hmm.
meeting the needs of all of our students, the low, the middle, the high, the students that have a hard time with behaviors, the students that are sitting quietly in the corner and you just don't notice them because they are so compliant. You're meeting all of those students' needs, and it's less on us as teachers because we know that we're doing that, and
Hmm.
it doesn't feel as stressful when we're
Hmm.
delivering this instruction.
Absolutely. If you are looking for more ways of how to incorporate these pathways into your instruction, be sure to check out our book, Elevated Educator. You see it right there. We have tons more information on pathways specifically, as well as experiences. And in the back of the book, the last chapter is full of 70 plus ideas of how you can take these pathways and incorporate them into your classroom right away.
And I'm thinking next month we have a pretty exciting thing
We
coming
do.
up. We have a very special guest that's going to be coming on. We're not going to give away yet, but this special guest is all about engagement
Hmm.
and how that is using that through an experience, and it's near and dear to our hearts. And
Yes.
so definitely check out our next episode, as well as we're taking this another step further into how to take these pathways and move them into an experience that engages your students.
Absolutely. So, in order not to miss it, make sure you hit subscribe so that way you get notifications when we have a new episode come out. And make sure we'll have a little teaser. So, make sure you follow us on all of our socials because we'll have those out as well.
Hey, if you're looking for great instruction for your staff, we do keynotes, full day workshops, half day. We come in, we do long-term consulting where we help our educators make this possible
Hmm.
in their classrooms all year long. So if you're wondering what that looks like and how to get Kara and I into your buildings, make sure you go to integratedk12.com and you can sign up, and we would love to chat with you about that.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this episode of Integrated EDU. We hope we provided you some value today.
All right, go make an impact. Bye, guys.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with fellow educators.
Join the conversation in the comments and let us know how you're applying these strategies in your classroom.
Together, we can create meaningful learning experiences for all students.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.